So we were going to only be doing notes for this lesson anyway, so this is perfect. We won't have any extra homework relating to it. Just make sure you understand it. It will be in your study guide. First, we're going to look at overlapping triangles and how we can separate them to make it an easier problem to solve. Then we'll look at plotting a point on a coordinate plane. So first off, it's really important to realize overlapping triangles often have a common side or angle. Okay, they have to share something if they're overlapping. When solving problems involving overlapping triangles, it's going to be most helpful if we separate and redraw the triangles as two separate things. It's always easier to do with two separate triangles versus one triangle on top of another. After you separate them, make sure you mark any given information on your triangles, as well as any shared parts that you know would have to be congruent. So like if there's a shared side, then obviously it's congruent in both triangles. Same with a shared angle. So our first example is triangles ACD and triangles BCE. Here is ACD, and it is overlapping with triangle BCE. Okay, first I need to figure out what they have in common. So as I've drawn over here for you, and you should draw on your notes, here's ACD, here's BCE. They do not share any sides. BC is not in both triangles, DC is not, etc. However, they do both have this common angle C. That is an angle in both triangles. So if that's an angle in both triangles, then I know C is congruent to itself. Now, on this picture, I can't really do much else because I don't know any other markings, but I can at least separate them and say C is going to be congruent to C. If I had more information, I could keep them. This is the type of problem you would see on your study guide, on your test. It's really, really important you be able to do this. So first off, anytime they give us a congruence statement, use it to your advantage. Here, you should notice the only letter they have in common is C. Since C is a single letter, it means angle C is in both triangles. So on one triangle, I have something like this, A, C, D. Tells me A is 43, C is 85. I don't know what D is. I can find out D because I know that triangles should add to 180. So if I do 180 minus 43 minus 85, 180 minus 43 minus 85. Sorry, I had to grab a calculator. I know angle D is 52. So now I have all of the triangles in that, or all of the angles in that triangle. So if I go to draw BCE, looks something like this. I know that C is congruent to C, so I know this is 85. I also see that angle B has an X at it. I don't know anything about angle E, and I can't solve for it since I don't know angle B either. However, if they're going to give you a congruence statement, it is for a reason. Never ignore it. This congruence statement tells me A should match up with E, so whatever A is, E has to be the same thing. So E is 43. It also tells me that whatever D is matches up with whatever B is. Okay, well D is 52, so B has to be 52. So X equals 52, and that's all there is to it. And that's really all you need to know for overlapping, and we'll say 52 degrees since it's an angle. You can do that, you're good to go on your test. As for plotting a point, this is a little bit more challenging. So for plotting a point, you have to make sure you do as much as you can with your congruence statement because it will really help a lot. It says to plot A, so I'm going to circle A, and I'm also going to circle X because however X is working in this top triangle, that's how A should work. Okay? I like to recommend drawing a rectangle. Since BC is slanted, then the rectangle I need to draw should look like this. Okay, I can't make a rectangle with a slanted side. Now I can look and I can say, okay, well, X is a corner, and it's closest to Z. So again, X is a corner. If I picture this as being a rectangle as well. X is a corner, so A should be a corner. X is closest to Z, so A should be closest to C. Okay, so it has to be a corner, so it has to be either this bottom right corner or the top left. If I think about which one is closest to C, then it has to be this bottom right corner. Okay, so again, we thought about it, we said X is closest to Z, therefore A closest to C. We were able to plot our point. Okay, on number 2, first thing I'm going to do is rectangle or box this in. So here's one side, the other. Okay, rectangles really are going to make this the easiest. I'm looking for A, so again, A corresponds with X. So A and X are going to work the same way. I can see that Z is a corner, which means that C should also be a corner. So if C is a corner, then this must be my rectangle. It has to be the same width as the other one, so it has to be 3 wide. Right? This was 3 wide, so this is 3 wide. This is 5 tall, so this is 5 tall. Right? They match up. Okay, our corners match up. Then I can look and I can say, okay, A and X relate. So here's X. X should be on the side opposite Z and Y. So I'm looking at this side somewhere. Okay. X is closer to Y. So A should be closer to B based on this, X, Y, A, B. Okay, I see X is only 1 down from the corner, so I'm going to put A 1 down from the corner, so there is A. And that is where A would have to be congruent. Now it's really tricky. Okay, for number 3, making a rectangle, we have one straight side, so there's one side, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide, and then we'll be 4 tall to get over to the X. Okay, for BC, I know I'm going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide, 4 tall, so something like this. I can see again, X should line up with A. Okay, well, X is on the side across from the straight side. So I know that A is going to be somewhere up here. I don't know where yet. Then I just have to figure out what X should be closer, or what A should be closer to. X is closer to Z. Therefore, A should be closer to C. Right? X is closer to Z, so A should be closer to C. I see that it hits 2 on one side, 3 on the other. So if I want to be closer to C, I have to be 2 away from that side. So 2 away from the corner above C and 3 away from the corner above B. So there is where A is for this one. So we're really just using the relationship of the letters and the relationship of the rectangles. Okay, so here, plot W, so XYZ is congruent to triangle XYW. You might have noticed there's only one triangle here. But I only have to plot one point. 1 point means there's a shared side. Because otherwise, how am I going to get a whole triangle? These ones are the easiest when there's a shared side. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what the shared side is. So I'm going to look at this and I see xy and xy. So xy is going to be what's not moving. I can also see that w should be in the same spot as z. Okay, well I can't put w on top of z. I'm looking for a different triangle. So I see, okay, z is down 1, back 3 from x. So I'm going to go down 1, right 3 to get the other point that would be congruent. So this has to be, not A, sorry, we switched to w. This has to be w. That's how easy it is with a shared side, because they connect in the middle, so we just have to figure out where the other corner is going to go. You could have also lined up your corners, done rectangles, whatnot. For this one, I'm looking for w. In this case, I see that w is going to line up with y. I also see that there are no other dots, so xz is shared. So here's the shared side. Okay. I want w to work the same way as y. Okay, well, y is down 3, so w will be up 3. Here's w. Okay, it's just counting when you have a shared side. Okay, lastly, this one's the hard one. I'm going to go back to the rectangle idea on this one just because it is a little bit complicated. So here's the rectangle for XYZ, right? We have the side YZ, okay? There's our rectangle. I can see that W and Z should work the same way, so however W relates is how Z relates, which is really important because I can see that Z is a corner, which means W is also going to be a corner. If W is going to be a corner just like Z is, then my rectangle needs to shift. Okay, it's important to realize Z is closest to X. Okay, well, Z, to get from Z to X, I have to go up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So up 2 over 6 gets me from Z to X. Okay? Based on our congruence statement, W should be closest to Y. Well then, however I got from Z to X, that's what I'm going to do to get from W to Y, or Y to W, whatever order you want to say. So we said, again, we went up 2 over 6 to get to X, so I'm going to go to Y, and I'm going to go up 2 over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where W has to be. Finally, we see that XY is shared with YX. They're reversed because they do switch spots. Here's that. So here is YX and how it connects with W. So there's our rectangle. It just shifted up. Okay, so that's where W should be. I know this seems really hard on your test. You're only going to have to do one of these. Most of the time on the SOL, you just have to do a ton of distance formulas and see if you have congruent triangles. You don't have to actually plot a point. Or you could plot a point and do all the distances to check. Again, on the test, there's one of these. Well, there's actually 2, but you get to pick which one you want to do. One of them will have a shared side and be like either number 4 or number 5, not number 6. Don't worry. Okay, so there'll be one that's like 4 and 5, and then there'll be one like the ones up above. And again, you get to pick which one you want to do. I recommend doing the one with a shared side. It's a lot easier. And that is all I have for you guys today.